feedback from coaches, mentors, facilitators, and counselors. I'm putting all these four categories together. Uh, Coaches normally don't give feedback. Mentors may give feedback to guide people. Facilitators only facilitate, receiving feedback, giving feedback, getting from it. But nowadays, I think the distinction between all these categories is slowly disappearing. Uh, I had an interesting incident narrated by uh, good old friend Manohar S. Nadkani, who is no more. When he was alive, he was coaching many CEOs. He mentioned to me particularly about a famous CEO for whom he was coaching, and then he said that this particular CEO had a habit of never maintaining the commitment in terms of the time. He would invite Manohar to for a session, and then Manohar goes for the coaching session. He would inevitably be late, and first he will say, I'm coming in 5 minutes, then it will be 10 minutes, and later 15, 20 minutes, sometimes as much as half an hour to an hour. And Manohar, as a coach, decided that he is not going to let it pass on like this. So once he invited the CEO to come and have coaching session at his office, that is Manohar's office. So the day and at the time when he has given an appointment for him, the CEO came and visited his office, and Manohar deliberately left his office, went somewhere else, and kept every few minutes phoning him to say, I'm coming in 10 minutes. And again, after 10 minutes, he would phone him to say, I'm coming in another 5, 10 minutes. I'm very, very sorry. I'm extremely sorry, and things like that. Then ultimately, he would land up about half an hour, 45 minutes late. Uh, when the CEO was about to leave, he would say that, no, 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 I'm just coming, I'm just around the corner, and things like that. At the end of it, when he came, the CEO was furious, and he told the coach, Manohar, how dare you do like this? You invite me to your office and then waste my time. Do you know how much of a valuable time it is? What I could have done in the last half an hour or 40 minutes that I have been here. First, I have wasted my time coming all the way here. Travel time itself has taken quite a bit, and so on. Manohar apparently then told him that, look, go back to the feelings that you have had in the last half an hour, 45 minutes. Keep thinking about it and remember all that you have said. Now, let me give you some data. In the last 6 months, the number of times you have come late and how much time I travel. And as a result, I have been containing all these feelings, and I thought the best way to help you to recognize the impact of your not being on time on other people is this. So I have deliberately done this to make you feel what it is like to wait for somebody for whom you have given an appointment. So I hope now you realize the value of other person. So this is a kind of a feedback that Manohar Nadkarni has given to the CEO, and Manohar says after that he never had this particular person uh, come late, and then he always stuck to the schedule and so on. This is a very interesting form of demonstrating. This is a feedback. He has given feedback by getting the person to experience the same feelings that are similar feelings that he would be generating by his behavior and the other others. But this is a rare kind of a thing. Not all coaches would do that. Not for all behavior you need to do this. However, coaches can be counted on to provide this kind of a feedback which can have a telling effect on the behavior of the coachee or the mentor to the mentee and so on. We were taught years ago that in coaching has got to be non-directive. It comes from the tradition of counseling, which called Rogers and team psychoanalysts promoted in 1950s and which we continued for long years. It is said that a coach is a coach and he has got to be non directive. He is a listener, he is a responder, he is a mirror. He can act as a mirror and helps the person to recognize help the person to recognize his or her own actions and the impact of their actions or thoughts on other people, and the way events will happen and so on. So the, the coach job is to make the person feel responsible for his actions by helping the person to understand the consequences of his actions by asking questions, mirroring, and a whole lot of techniques that are used in coaching and so on. So this is one form of a coaching which can be called as a non-directive coaching. However, there is in the recent years there is another form of coaching that is fairly guided, directive kind of a thing. This kind of a coaching happens particularly when the coach is a technical expert and you are coaching in functional areas. Like a coach in sports, a badminton coach or a cricket coach, um, uh, has got to be quite familiar with the game, should by himself practice it, maybe an expert in the game, accomplished kind of a practitioner, and that is when he starts guiding the other person. There it is said the coach not only should be a technical person, but he should be communicative, he should know all the skills of coaching and things like that. So one of the most important skills of a coach is to be able to give feedback in a way the other person realizes the consequences of his action. So, in this school of thought where you are a technical coach or a functional coach, you will be a lot more directive, guiding, telling what is right and what is not right, and also occasionally communicating to the person to explore his or her own way of doing things and so on. However, when it comes to managerial and behavioral kind of a coaching, I think one is directive. Often the client or the coachee may say, that is your way of doing things, that is the way you are effective, that is the way I think your situation allowed you to do. Don't tell me this. In my situation, what I am doing is right, and things like that. Because of this kind of a risk involved, it is said that behavior coach or a management coach or a CEO coach should avoid uh, imposing his experiences, his ways of thinking on the coachee, but help the coachee to discover the impact of his own thoughts, impact of his own actions and behavior. And self realization is the best realization and so on. So, whether you are a mentor or a facilitator or a coach, you are bound to use feedback. The feedback will be either on the basis of what you have observed or on the basis of what the person has stated. In both cases, I think it is important that you follow the principles of feedback, give it in a non threatening way, show respecting for the people, and remember, feedback should be empowering feedback. Uh, if a person does not realize the impact of his or her actions on others, he or she is not likely to change. Therefore, it is very, very important that the coach gives feedback in a way that is not only acceptable but also is internalized and reflected upon, and then the chances of the coachee following that and exhibiting the appropriate behavior becomes very high. So, feedback, friends, in coaching is an extremely important tool. You can also give feedback from your experiences, but when you narrate your own experiences, it doesn't become feedback. It is simply narration of a story or maybe benchmarking, goal setting, and things like that. Feedback always, even in a coaching situation, is a feedback of what you have observed, what you have seen. Consistency is exhibited by your candidate in what he says, what he has done, what he has been doing, and things like that. So that is why coaching on the part of a coach will become very effective if you can use feedback very appropriately and give it in all acceptable ways, following some of the principles Uday Parikh always mentioned in his articles on interpersonal feedback. giving and receiving interpersonal feedback. So I hope you will realize the importance, think about it, read some books, and be a great coach in by giving the right kind of a feedback, well-timed feedback, descriptive feedback, mirroring feedback, non-threatening feedback, empowering feedback, and involving feedback that may help the coachee to take responsibility. All the best from TVRLS.